What's wrong with it?
Today we're here to discuss what's wrong with Donald Trump's economic agenda for black people. First off, we can start by saying anything Donald Trump says is stupid.
African American and Hispanic American poverty has reached an all-time low. Right? And in addition to that, Kanye West likes me. Right?
Stupid ass. So this dude's economic plan has to be stupid. I mean, this is the dude that said drink bleach if you want to cure coronavirus. I mean, his whole economic strategy is based on make America great again. I mean, that means going back to some time when he considered America to be great. I mean, does he want to go back to the 1950s when we was riding in the back of the bus, couldn't vote, getting lynched? Or does he want to go back to the 1850s? We was just picking cotton. You know what I'm saying? This whole economy that we're experiencing right now is really neo-slavery. You got to realize slave masters was making a profit. It was about making money for slave masters with cheap labor. Because the slaves did get paid. I mean, they got chitlins, they got rags to wear, they even got slave quarters to live in. But they wasn't free to walk away. That's the thing. Economic slavery, you're not free to walk away. Now we got to look at some history to understand this in context. Right after the Civil War, this period was called the Reconstruction period in the South. Abraham Lincoln, the president, was assassinated, and his vice president, Andrew Johnson, became president. But see, this dude, Andrew Johnson, was a former slave owner. Even though he was a Republican and he freed the slaves, he didn't want blacks to vote. He agreed with the Democratic Party. He didn't want blacks to vote. The problem for white folks in the South, though, was that during Reconstruction, a lot of them had lost their right to vote because they had participated in the Civil War, and they lost. So this meant blacks could vote, and now a lot of black men were elected to different political offices in the South during the Reconstruction period as Republicans. Remember, back then, blacks were Republicans. And this is about the time they came along with sharecropping. You know what I'm saying? That was the new slavery at that time. You know, sharecropping basically meant the master still owned the land. He still owned the stuff you used to farm the land. He still owned all the property on the land, the house, etc., etc. You were just basically paying him rent by sharing whatever crops you grew. Now, as time went on, the whites started to get their legal power back, and they started to come up, the Democratic Party in the South started coming up with these Jim Crow laws. Also at this time, some of the blacks did get off the plantation. We had places like Black Wall Street, Rosewood, where blacks were prospering. And you see a lot of white people, poor white people, will become envious, and some type of race riot would break out, usually behind a white woman, where black people were killed and their property was destroyed. Also during Reconstruction, 3 amendments to the Constitution were passed. 3 new amendments. The 13th Amendment freed the slaves unless they were convicted of a crime. The 14th Amendment basically said if you were born here, you were a citizen and they couldn't take your rights away without due process. And the 15th Amendment said citizens could not be denied the right to vote even though they were ex-slaves. The problem was, though, that after Reconstruction, the plantation owners, the businessmen, and the lawmakers in the South quickly found ways around these amendments. Like I said, slavery was replaced with sharecropping. Jim Crow style separate but equal laws helped them to get around the 14th Amendment, and literacy requirements in which blacks had to pass a reading test to vote, or grandfather clauses which your grandfather had to vote before you, or a poll tax which forced poor blacks to pay to vote, helped keep blacks from exercising their right to vote. Is this what Trump wants to go back to? Y'all been lulled to sleep with jobs and some black elected officials, just like before back during Reformation. But no, low-paying jobs are the new sharecropping. The projects are the new slave quarters, and they set up a system of virtual change to keep us enslaved. And right about now, I'm starting to hear somebody in a Samuel Jackson voice saying, "What you talking about, Django? I live in the big house." Yeah, a lot of us do own homes. But remember economic freedom? You got a job you can quit, that you can walk away and get a new job paying the same amount of money? Or are you tied to that job? On top of that, let's say your mortgage is for $100,000, 30 years, 5%. You're going to pay the bank $193,000. Now that means the bank is getting paid for your work. It's like Master's new name is Bank of America. Now I would show their logo, but they're not going to sue my black ass. So remember, that was the slave master's goal. You work hard, he collects the money. You know what I'm saying? Now that's what Trump wants to go back to. So we have to realize that slavery, they had mental chains on us as well as the physical chains. These were psychological, economical, and sociological chains. Trump may be a dummy, but he's a natural born racist. He wants to make y'all slaves again. Now he can't say this outright in public today, nowadays. But meanwhile, he's like pointing at the Mexicans this, Mexico building a wall, China that, Muslim travel ban this, but all of those, that's that old-fashioned distraction technique. Meanwhile, Negro got a job and can't afford to live in the neighborhood he grew up in. Are you not watching? It's like a slow motion magic trick. When Trump says the economy is good, you got to ask yourself, for who? As you're struggling to pay your rent and or your mortgage. I'm telling you now, this economy is not good for you. So subscribe to this channel, and then we're going to break down some of these mental chains that hold us back.